1,000 RPM is the number I'm looking for. Oil pressure. Now you could put your headset on over your ears and the microphone immediately right up to your lips. And say hello.
Hello.
Check, check.
Check, check.
Okay, so if you tuck that under your leg, and my drink is my responsibility. And I think I'm actually going to put this in the back. First I'm going to have a sip. Now I'm going to ask you to hold it for a while. The only thing I need to be able to do is make sure that that stick comes all the way back as far as I need to. Okay? Alrighty. So now we get to the avionics power. That powers up the transponder, which talks to the radar systems out there, and I fire that on. It should show a 1200 code. This is the radio. And it should show 122.8 on the left-hand side and 120.10 on the outside. That's the standby. That's how I changed the big number with the big knob, the small number with the small knob. And to change it from 120.10 and make it active, make it the one that I'm talking and transmitting on, I push the swap button. Now 122.8 changes and I can change it to whatever I want it. So you're always changing the standby one and making it active. I can listen to both of them by pushing this dual button, but I'm listening and transmitting on this one and listening only on that one. So this is the local frequency for this airport. This is the Seattle approach frequency with all the big boys, and I like to know who and where they are and what they're doing. I don't have to talk to them, but I like to do so. And we're waiting for this temperature to hit 120, at which point I can taxi up the ramp. Can you reach those pedals by any chance? Could you push them if you had to? I can't hear you, so
Yes.
if I can't hear you...
Yes.
Perfect, okay. So, temp. So that's way far away in Auburn and somebody talking, and that's why it's so staticky, but we'll also hear that static in a minute. So I'm going to be asking you for what I call clear right, which is to say I can't see over the nose to the right. So one of those cars backing out of that driveway, for instance, I'd be difficult to see, or somebody coming from the right-hand side. So as far as you can tell, there's nothing happening on the right, correct?
Clear right.
Clear right, thank you very much. So I brake test, I make sure that both brakes work properly. I've got pedals on the top of my pedals that are brakes, but you don't have brakes. You only are rudder pedals, so you are unable to bring the airplane to a stop, but you can land it.
Oh boy.
Yay. So to show you what the rudder pedals do without braking, put your feet on them and just follow along. Okay, so I use the rudder pedals to steer on the ground,
Gotcha.
and without me applying brakes, I push the right one and I go to the right over here. I push the left one and I go to the left.
Perfect.
Push the right one and I go to the right. So that's how you steer on the ground is, and then because I want to slow us all the way down before I spin us around, I'm going to put the brakes on and then I'm going to push the brake pedal. That puts us back over. This is a tailwheel airplane, so it's more maneuverable in situations like grass and short strips and things. It's Apex traffic, experimental 1300 Kilo Foxtrot on the north ramp, taxiing up to the taxiway, Apex. So clear right, no cars on the right-hand side of the road in front of us, so up at your 1 o'clock or 2 o'clock.
Nope.
Thank you. No airplanes
Clear
coming.
right.
No airplanes coming along the taxiway. Don't hear anybody talking. Don't see anybody. Okay. So the windsock is the most important thing. Where's the wind coming from? Over there. Sorry, the windsock is, look at me, and we pretend that the airplane is a clock. 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock. This would therefore be 10 or 11 o'clock at the front. And so the wind is coming from my back, which means I'll be taking off in the direction of the wind. So we're going to go down here halfway down the taxiway. We're going to stop and do our final check. Then we're going to taxi all the way down to the far end, and then we're going to take off this way. Now, that wind is actually blowing across the runway a bit, which means it's going to be slightly more interesting on the takeoff, slightly more interesting on the landing, but no big deal.
Perfect.
Well, no big deal yet. So this is a private airport, not funded by federal money in any way, shape, or form, so we can kind of do what we want, which means all the junk cars and junk airplanes are lying around. So I spin the airplane around and face it as best I can into the wind that's coming from it. So into the direction of the wind based on the windsock.
Perfect.
Now, I didn't really show you how to adjust the seatbelt, but I figure you pretty much got it figured out that to release it, you'd just release the buckle catch the same way you normally would, right?
On a commercial flight, too.
And thank you. And so then it's the door. Grab that handle in the middle of the door, bring it towards you all the way down. Make sure there's nothing hanging out the door like your seatbelt strap or anything. And then you're going to pull it, you're going to rotate it backwards. And see this pin?
Yeah.
It goes into a hole there. So you have to pull it in and rotate it backwards until you hear a click, click. Okay, so try that. Put in hard, rotate backwards till you keep going. Click. And to release it is the opposite.
Okay.
Okay? So that's the door checklist. So now we have a opportunity to put a bit of a breeze in for you if you put that like that. And we use a checklist called cigars, and it means controls. Are they free? Are they jammed up in any way, shape, or form? Are they rigged correctly so that when this stick is pointing this direction, that one's up, that aileron or flaperon is up, and the rudders are also part of the controls. So I've confirmed that the rudders and all the controls are free, working properly, and correct. So that's the number one thing that is addressed there. The I in the word cigar stands for instruments. So our field elevation is 525 feet. That's 500 plus 18 plus 20 plus 25 feet. So 525. My clock is wound. Turn coordinator is not working at the moment, but I just turned it on just a second ago. Amperage is low. It's charging at 12 volts. It will charge it more when the engine runs up. Water temperature is fine. These are